try to get it. Just wait. Don't. We should have done that because I don't know if it came out right though. Because when I go to public, it was different when I went to public. I think it's all right.
Looks good.
Okay.
Did I just do that?
Good afternoon, Facebook family and friends, and welcome to the Doris Hall James Indie Show. This afternoon, we welcome back T. Life to the Indie Show. T. Life is traveling with us today through his musical journey with part 2. He has a lot to say. He didn't get a chance to tell us about his musical journey at that time, so he's back. And welcome.
Well,
T.
thank you for
How are
inviting
you?
me back.
And thank you for coming.
Oh,
okay?
man. You're blessed, you know.
Oh, so are you.
You
But
got that right.
I wanted to say how excited I am, because when we ended our interview the last time, you said the 45 minutes went so fast and I didn't get a chance to tell everything.
Yeah.
So then I said, well, you've got to come back and you got to finish telling your story.
I appreciate you bringing me back to acknowledge some of the people
Right.
that I've worked with all of my life. I talked about New York the last time I was here,
Yes.
and some of the people that I worked with in New York, but I didn't get a chance to talk about all of the people who have helped me develop through the years. I've developed with them, they developed with me, and it's been like a really, really big family of people. And I appreciate you allowing me to come back and do that. So you know what I did?
What did you do?
I went home, and since I left you, it's taken me all of that time to go back through my archives, and I'm losing it, you know.
Don't say that.
It's going to happen eventually.
I know.
But I went back and I started thinking about all the people that I've worked with in Philadelphia, and I tell you, it's amazing.
Amazing. Let's
It's
talk about
amazing.
some of those people. The floor is
Well,
yours.
you know what I did? I made
Okay.
a list of all of
Okay.
those people.
All right.
Not in chronological order, but I'll try to categorize them as we
Okay.
go along. I'm going to try
Let's
to make
start
this
there.
fast because there's
Because
a
it's
lot of
always
people.
good to give credit to those who helped and
Oh,
who
yeah.
were influential in your career.
But it was really, really cool to go back and write these names down and remember these people.
Okay.
You know, we have a tendency of forgetting.
Yes.
You know.
Okay.
So I'm going to start off,
Okay.
and I call this my Philly list.
The Philly list.
It's my Philly list.
Okay.
Where's the cameras at? I don't
The
even
cameras
worry
are
about
right here.
Okay.
The Philly list. Okay.
it. Brenda Hill.
Brenda Hill.
You know what that is?
No.
Brenda and the Tabulations.
Oh, Brenda. Yes. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Brenda Hill and Jimmy Hill, her husband,
Okay.
played on a couple of my albums. Brenda would do background vocals with another young lady. Her name was Novella Edmonds, and Novella was one of my writing partners. And she was a great singer, man,
Oh,
a great
wow.
artist. Oh my God, when she passed, all three of these people have passed.
Yeah.
And it broke my heart. And I really miss her a lot. So we got Brenda Hill, Jimmy Hill, Novella Edmonds, and Mary Roberts is another singer,
Okay.
great friend of mine, a whiz in the studio, very creative, Mr. George Tinley.
All right.
George
Y'all
is
gorgeous.
George Tinley used to play with a group called the Modern Redcaps. And they were on the road with people like Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Okay.
See, it wasn't always Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes. It was the Blue Notes,
I understand
out
that.
there. So we're talking, I'm a
Yeah.
young kid. These are like my old heads, you know what I mean, like George. And, of course, my good friend Darryl Burgee, who
Burgee.
just just played with me on the tribute to Mr. Don Gardner at the Clef Club. Now, Bergie and I have been friends for. I was in Africa, and I heard somebody calling me.
Oh no!
Yeah, wait a minute. I'm in Africa.
Okay.
We went to Africa, and we were on this bus, and I heard somebody going, T-Life, T-Life, and I'm looking on the bus to see if anybody, we're all on the bus, and everybody's looking like, who the hell you know over here? I don't know nobody in Africa. I think we were in Liberia or either, was it Monrovia? No, it was in Ghana. I think it was in Ghana.
Okay.
And I looked out the window, and there's Daryl Bergie. Oh, that was so wild, man. It was crazy.
I was just talking about him the other day.
And he was over there studying to be a priest, like a Kunga priest. I think him and Doc Gibbs, they're spiritually inclined with those drums, make it rain and stuff like that. Money come out the sky. Anyway, and Wheeze Newton, who plays with UGO, he and Daryl are in the same band, the Urban Guerrilla Orchestra.
Okay.
Been knowing him for years. When he sang with Thomas Buck Nasty Band, he was the lead singer, him and Thomas. And
he's the one just passed now.
Yeah, Thomas just passed. Okay. And Wheeze is probably one of the best singers in the country. I mean, in the world maybe, you know what I mean? Because all of these guys are like really at the top of their game, you know what I'm saying? So
Henry McMillan.
And Henry McMillan,
Yes.
I've been knowing him all my life, and we've done things. Mike Davis, who was originally with Thomas Buck Nasty, him, you got Mike Davis, Daryl Bergie, and Wheeze Newton. They were all in the group Thomas Buck Nasty Band, the album that I did with RCA with them. Okay, so now let's go on down to the Clemens sisters.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna miss nobody.
Okay.
We got the Clemens sisters who have done background vocals for me. They were kind of young, and I spanked them a little bit. They were angry at me, for a long, long time. But I loved them, I only spanked the ones I love.
All right.
The other ones, I kick them to the curb. They don't get no spanking. They don't deserve anything,
Okay.
But they were really, really talented girls. And they got some talented.
Was it 3 of them?
It was 2.
There's 2 of them.
Yeah, 2, the Clemens sisters. But anyway, we're going to go on down to Mr. Rick Sullivan. Now, that name may not ring a lot of bells, but he had a group in the city of Philadelphia called Pretty Slick.
Okay.
And he was my mother's, his mother and my mother were best buddies. And I put the first guitar in his hand. So he wanted to learn how to play guitar. He's my neighbor, lived at the corner house. And man, he was hot. So he played on a couple things on my album, and on a couple of my albums. I can't remember which ones, but he came in, he did his thing, and this beautiful cat.
Herb Smith.
Herb Smith.
I was just talking about him today, too.
Yep.
Herbie. If you're listening to this, I gave you a shout out.
Yeah.
And because I've been knowing Herbie like one of my young boys.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So, and he was a genius. He's still a genius.
He's still a genius.
Oh yeah, man. Herbie can play. All right. So, and my brother-in-law Billy Little, who is 14 years old, who played more drums. He was just as good as any drummer. He was an innovative drummer. When you listen to people like Billy Cobham, Lenny White, was it Lenny White? Maybe I'm wrong, but I can say Billy Cobham without question.
Now Billy, he does some recording too.
Who, my brother-in-law? Well, my brother-in-law was the drummer for my group Spiritual Concept.
Okay.
He also played with Frankie Beverly when we wanted him bad, but he was only 14 years old, and Mama wasn't having that, so couldn't go on the road with us a long way. But he also played in my group when I started Philly Spiritual Concept, and we signed that deal with Philly International. Hassel Thomas, who was the bass player in Spiritual Concept. Frankie Snowden, who was also in Spiritual Concept. He used to play with the Marlboro Men.
Okay.
You know, and great singer. You know, I'll tell you a little bit about this whole list in a minute.
Okay.
And
Is that Sonny Hobson?
Sonny Hobson started off as our manager.
Oh,
with
isn't that
Spiritual
something?
Concept.
I don't think he told us that. He interviewed with us.
Oh,
About
well, maybe
6
it
months
was
ago?
so long ago that he
Yeah.
didn't remember. But he was at the Clef Club to see me.
Okay.
He came to see
You
me.
mean the other night?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Sonny was there. I was shocked, you know.
Isn't that
And
great?
it was great, man. It was like we hugged, man. But he actually thought that we had something that was special. He wanted to be a part of it. So he started managing us. And what he did was he couldn't manage us all the time. So he took us over to Mr. Gus Lacey.
Okay.
Mr. Gus Lacey owned the club on 52nd Street called Mr. Silks. Now, these are people who have come into my life and been into my life ever since I've done my thing, you know.
Okay.
You ever think about some of the people you meet in your life?
Yes. I think about them all the time, you know.
And you don't know what happened to them.
You don't
After a
know
while,
what
they
happened.
just...
They fade away, but sometimes, like with me, they're coming back. You know how they fade away and then
Yeah.
everybody goes their different ways and then they come back into your life.
Well,
But you
then
never
again,
forget those people.
no, you don't forget them, but
You
some
don't
of those
forget 'em.
people pass away.
Oh yeah.
And things of that nature. And, you know, the relationships that you had with them was for a reason, not for the season. And I think sometimes God takes you where you need to be, not where you want to go.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's that kind of thing. Let's see. And then we have Mr. Major Coxon.
Okay.
Of course, he met with an untimely demise. You know, I think a lot of us know about that. But Major became my manager
After Sonny?
after Sonny and Gus, because they felt as though he could do a better job,
Right.
and he actually put us on the show at the Civic Center with James Brown, Nikki Giovanni,
Okay.
and Dr. Martin Luther King.
That was a great show.
That was at the Civic Center,
Yeah, it's
the
a great
old
show.
Civic Center,
Uh-huh.
which was that was like really something. I mean, and we opened up the show, and of course we killed it.
I know you did.
We opened that show, baby. You know, you get a shot at the plate, you better try to hit the ball. You know, and so. Now I'm going to talk about one of my closest friends, and like my brother, Talmadge Conway.
Okay.
Well, Talmadge used to be one of when the Butlers first started, they were a singing group. And then they broke up. Conway, I think Conway went to Vietnam, and Frankie and all the rest of the guys disbanded, so they remained friends and stuff, you know. But the Beatles had came in, doo-wop wasn't happening, and things of that nature. So they all picked up instruments and wanted to do their thing. So that didn't work out too well, I don't think. But the thing is, Conway and I, when he came back from Vietnam, we hooked up together, and we became writers.
Oh,
We used to
okay,
write
that's good.
songs together
Good,
and stuff,
good.
you know. And I'm going to try to do this in a way that it makes sense, because I'm going to be jumping back and forth. John Fitch,
Didn't he write that song for Evelyn Champagne?
Shame.
Yeah.
He wrote
Okay.
Shame. He and I wrote, we wrote a few songs, you know, but John was a prolific writer himself. In fact, he still got a song that I want to cut, you know.
Okay.
And I'll tell you a little secret about John, is he doesn't talk about himself much, but he actually left Philadelphia and was signed to Apple Records with the Beatles. He did a rock and roll album over there with the Beatles because he plays a lot of guitar. And that's when Jimi Hendrix was popping.
Okay.
You know, so you got Jimmy over here, and then here comes the competition, which is John Fitch, right? But for some ironic reason, it didn't go down. But he was there. He was definitely there. And so, we wrote some songs together. He and I know this is bad. The last time I was here, I said, you asked me about who wrote the songs. Well, John Fitch, and I can't think of the kid's name, and I'm so sorry, man. If you're listening to this, I didn't remember your name. But you can call it in to Doris. She'll take it, you know. All right? And I know him like I'm talking to you.
But sometimes,
see, this is part of the disease.
Yeah, I understand that.
So you got to get me before.
I get that way too. We all get that way.
You think it's
just
it's not an age thing.
No, it's not age. It's just a part of life. It's a part of life. It's not age. Okay, let's just say it's part of life.
Are you in denial?
No, I'm not in denial. But
are you visiting that?
Listen, a lot of young people can't remember anything. They can't remember.
Oh, we ain't talking about them.
Either they choose.
We ain't talking about the young people.
So you can't blame it all on age, but
you can't remember nothing when you smoke that weed. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Did I say something wrong?
No, you didn't.
Oh, well, I mean, you know, it's America.
Okay.
Make America great again.
Well, we try to remember. Like I was listening to one of the ladies we on the show, and she said, in order for you not to lose your memory or keep your memory going, you need to always learn new things, different things. And that keeps your mind sharp all the time. So maybe that's something we should do.
You think?
Well, we could try it, see if that works. And so I know.
Well, I'm glad you have so much faith in these new medical procedures and things that people say. I kind of think that you're close to flatline when you can't remember no more. It's like the last square, baby.
It's terrible. It's terrible.
At any rate, let's go back to my thing here.
Okay.
And let's see, where did I leave off at? I left off with John.
John.
Oh no, I left off with Talmadge, who, by the way, is doing some great stuff himself, you know, in the gospel field. That's what he's doing now. And, of course, John Fitch, we know about him. And there was a young kid by the name of Jerry Cohen, who was probably one of the best keyboard players I ever worked with in Philadelphia. And Jerry's story is rather unique, but I'm not going to go there with that story. But he was I just wanted to pay him homage and, you know, thank him for being in my life because he helped me do some good music. And, of course, Mr. Jim Salomon. Now, Jim Salomon is one of I'm really proud of Jim Salomon because I met Jim Salomon in the 80s. And I was looking for some new blood in Philly to do some things with. I was getting ready to do the Evelyn Champagne King. I think it was the Long Time Coming album. And, you know, of course, now all of the new sounds and the way that people were recording, you know, it wasn't really live as much as it was. Everybody using machines. And Jim Salomon was probably one of the first guys that knew how to do that there thing.
Oh, wow,
you
that's
know.
good.
And so I got him, a guy by the name of Randy Cantor, and Joe Fusco. And, man, let me tell you, we laid down some stuff that was crazy.
So was that the beginning of like the digital kinds of stuff?
Yeah, the digital kind of stuff,
right,
you know. And so these guys were referred to me by Joe Taja. And, in fact, they were working out of Sigma. So I grabbed them and we did the Evelyn Champagne King thing. And it came out great. But from what was spawned off from that was a spinoff that they actually got a chance to do Ricky Martin. So all those first hits and all of that stuff, that's them guys.
Oh, that's great.
And also, not to forget, they also did hold up, and I'll tell you in a minute. I have one of those brain things.
I had a song in a movie.
Huh?
It was something that came on your phone by Nick Monday.
Oh, Nick Mundy.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, Nick Mundy's from a group called the Beck Family. His cousin was Tony Beck, who worked with Philly International. He did the gospel stuff over at Philly International, Ray Kinney. So he's a good friend of mine. What was I saying? I got sidetracked.
You're here, where's... Is that
Oh,
Jim?
yeah, with Jim Salomon, and
Jim.
who did
Jim Moore?
the OJs.
And that was with Jim,
Eddie
Jim.
Levert, you know the group Levert?
Yes.
Well, Salomon and his people did all of he did all the programming for those people. All right, so, and I'm going to mention another guy, and this is important to know. You just can't have people just making money. I mean, music. You got to have people behind the scenes who engineer,
you have
who
to
master,
the engineer.
and it's just amazing, amazing the amount of people that I have worked with and have given me good
those
records.
are the people behind the scenes. They make the stuff work.
Oh, absolutely.
You know? And like Gilbert's behind the scene here. He never comes out to the camera, but he's responsible for all the things that happen.
That's true. Hold on, what is it? I say, did you get a spot of tea yet? We're having a spot of tea.
A spot of tea.
Yes, he has
you
a
notice
spot
we
of
had
tea.
cups on this show.
Yes, we do. Even if it's diversified.
Can we call this tea time?
You can, if you wish.
You know, you have to
You
lock
call
it in.
Tea time, coffee time.
Yeah, well, no, we're going to call it tea time.
We'll call it tea time. Okay.
You know, so when you do your show with some of these others, you know, you can say, would you like to have some tea? We're going to have tea time.
It's good, though.
I'm trying to brain myself.
Tea time with Doris.
Tea time with Doris. Oh, that would be great.
That's delicious, isn't it?
That tea is really good.
And
Yes.
new commercial for him, huh?
That's what we should have.
Nah.
Let's talk.
No, we're not going to throw out no names now. You got to pay some money. You want to put your name up here. Doris ain't having that. Okay, so.
There's one person I want you to mention.
Who?
Go up. No,
Up that
go
way
down.
or this way?
This way. Go. Tell me about. Well, you can start with Dexter, but it was a Frank Virtue. Then you got Earl Young. You got Earl Young.
Frank Virtue.
Yeah, where's
Frank?
He had that studio down
Yeah.
there.
He
Virtue.
everybody recorded
Yeah.
it. I don't care who you
Yeah,
are
Frank Virtue. I
or
do
who you
remember
think
Frank.
you are and what you wanted to be. If you wanted to cut a record,
That's right. That's
you
really
went to
good.
Frank Virtue.
Yep.
He would not only cut the record for you, take it in the back, and he'll make a disc of it, and voila, you got a record. Whatever happens to it, that's another story. But anyway, Frank was probably one of the pioneers in a lot of cats' career. I recorded there. I can name you so many people that recorded at Frank Virtue, but they don't talk about Frank, you know. And but I wanted to give him a shout out because you know, these are all the people that helped me in my career and influenced me. Of course, John Whitehead and Gene McFadden. You know, I've known these cats. Wow.
Right.
You know, just.
They were great.
Oh man.
Great writers. I think like about maybe it's 5 years ago, I was teaching his grandson,
Okay.
Whitehead's grandson. I think he was one of my first students when I moved on 60th Street
Right.
that came in for piano lessons.
Mhm.
His grandma used to bring him in.
Right.
And he stayed maybe about 5 or 6 months. But he was going to a school that required him to really, you know, and so he stopped. But I think he was my first student I signed up.
Wow.
Mhm.
Wow.
Yeah.
I mean, the whole family's talented
Yeah.
like that, you know, and the Jeans too. They were great friends of mine. We had camaraderie, and they were funny, and I was funny too. So, you know,
And I
it was
see
just,
you
It just worked. It just
Very
worked.
good.
Twiggy Smith.
Okay.
Twiggy Smith is probably one of the greatest guitarists that ever came out of Philadelphia.
Mm.
Twiggy Smith played with the Modern Red Cats, and he also played with Harold Melvin and Blue Notes, I do believe. But you're talking about
Too
great.
soft.
He was my
We'll
hero.
talk up a little
I'm
bit.
serious, man. I had a couple heroes in the city,
Mm.
and Twiggy was one. Doc Gibbs, what can I say?
Okay.
You know, Pierre de Resistance of Kungas, you know, and you know, all that kind of stuff. Ishmael Wilburn, I jammed with him one time. He did a session with me, and I was just so impressed with him.
Isn't
He
it?
just blew me away. Really great musician.
What did he play?
Played bass.
Bass.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Gene Leon, of course, from the very beginning of recording Evelyn Champagne King, he was there. So he did a lot of the recording aspects in the beginning. It's kind of funny when you're working with a new artist that's not studio orientated. So you have to have a certain amount of patience
Yeah.
and feedback to them. You know, a lot of producers today aren't singing producers.
No.
They wouldn't know what to tell a
They
singing
wouldn't know
producer.
how to direct them.
They can't direct them
Right,
because they don't know
that's it.
how to sing. Some of them say, "Well, I know what singing is." No, you don't know what singing is unless you can actually sing in a melody.
Hold a tune.
In other words, you can handle a band, but not the singing group.
Well, some of them can't even handle a
Ooh,
band if you don't know how to play an
I
instrument.
tried to be nice.
You trying to be nice? I don't have to be because I really don't like people.
Oh,
So I'm only kidding.
yeah, you
I'm only
must be
kidding.
kidding because I
No.
go ahead.
No. But if you're not a musician, and let me tell you something. What's happening here? Some of these kids make some good records. They really do, man. This, you know, my son's a record producer, but he's got a little advantage because he plays keys.
Okay.
You know, he taught himself how to
He
play
needs that
keys.
melody and
I didn't
stuff,
teach
yeah.
him how to play
Okay.
keys. You know,
Yeah, but he actually plays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, he can play and he can hear,
You can hear.
and he can sit down and tell an artist how to sing this line,
Right.
how to approach that
on
line,
this, on this too.
Right.
you know, and on
Yeah.
those kinds of things. And a lot of these people can't, and I don't want to lose a train of thought. I don't want to use my train of thought, but
Why are you looking at that? I want to say hi to some of
okay.
the fans that joined in. Good afternoon, Florence. How are you? And Yvonne, how are you? Frank,
Hey,
glad
Donnie.
you joined in.
Is that Donnie Tatum?
Yes, Donnie's here. Hi, Donnie. Donnie's right here. Gilbert said hi. Yvonne again and John Bundy. We have Andre. Hi, Andre. Okay. I know it's like in the afternoon. We usually do the show at 7 o'clock, but we had to do it today in order to get T here. So let's continue.
Wait a minute. Yvonne Candy is thanking T for the history lesson.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I didn't intend on doing it this way, but it was the only way to
okay,
do
Yvonne,
it.
we hear you.
You know, to explain
Okay.
how these people have been, you know, a part of my life
Right.
and the things that I've learned from them, you know.
And it's important because a lot of us don't know, you know, and it's important for us to know all the talented people that were beneficial in your career, because I'm sure they were beneficial in others' career, in other people's careers too.
Sure,
You know,
absolutely.
so we want to recognize them also.
I want to recognize them
Right.
because I talked about people from New York and who they were and the things that they did. But, the truth of the matter is, a lot of the stuff that I know and I've learned through trials and errors and learning from other people too. You know, and some of these people are still around, and some of them don't have the accolades that I think they should have. But that's a life thing.
Yeah.
That's a life thing. You know, some of us get a chance to grab that brass ring. You dig what I'm saying? And that's a beautiful thing. I think that's what we all want to do.
Right.
You know, and sometimes it happens.
But sometimes it happens, sometimes it doesn't.
doesn't.
But some of the skills that they learn can transfer into other kinds of things.
Absolutely.
Is that true?
Oh
they,
yeah,
they
man.
Didn't
Oh
lose,
yeah.
They
Oh, absolutely.
didn't lose out at all.
No.
Because those skills can still help them in their musical journey.
And you still can be creative.
That's right.
You know, a lot of people want to be in front of the camera.
Yeah.
Hi. I'm Bill Stokowski, and we have the 6 o'clock news. I'm sitting here with. You think I make a good announcer? You know, maybe I should do my own TV show.
Well, maybe so. You have those
Or
transferable.
radio.
You have those transferable skills, right?
You see how we just did that?
That's right.
Well, a lot of people could do that.
Mhm.
You know, maybe I shouldn't be out here playing this piano, this guitar, whatever. Let me flip the script.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And do something
And do
else.
something else.
Something else out
That's
there.
in the business,
In
because the business needs
That's
it.
great.
You need some new stuff. You know, you can't be behind in front of the
In front
camera
of
all the
camera
time.
all the time.
You want to do that? Go
New-
get your
new
own
stuff,
camera.
New stuff. You know, new stuff. You can
Yes.
take that, right? That's what you want to do. I'm all for that.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Philadelphia needs to get more business orientated and use all of that creativity and
Yes.
that innovativeness to innovate and create other things that could be better in the same game.
So what happens? What happens when an artist gets when an artist is unable to keep performing? Okay.
Ooh.
So if an artist can't keep performing, and now that records aren't selling, so what is that artist going to do?
Well,
He needs to reach in his bag, get some of those skills he has, change them around somewhat, and then put together a new thing where he can still make money doing what he loves. Does that make sense?
yeah, makes sense. But you see the guy that was on the Bill Cosby show that said, "Well, I done ran out of tricks. I'm gonna get me a job."
No, we
I'm
don't.
gonna go get me a job,
No,
man.
you have to
Wait a
stay there.
But wait a minute. Here he is. He's got the.
He's selling pizza now.
Huh?
He's selling pizza now. If we're talking about the same guy.
He's not selling pizza. He got two. What's his name? Gave him. Wait a
Oh, well,
minute. Wait a
then I
minute.
must be talking
He's
about
selling
the
pizza.
show that came on after Bill Cosby.
No. This guy got a break because what's the guy from Atlanta? What's his name? The Medea guy.
Perry.
Perry.
Tyler Perry.
Tyler Perry. I started saying Perry Johnson. Tyler
Absolute
Perry.
disc now.
Tyler Perry gave him. It had that kind of guts and what's the word for it? Can't think of the word for it, but he had no shame in his game. He said, "I need to make money. I'm gonna die like this. I'm gonna go get me a job." You understand? He got him a job. People found out who he was. It was like, I'm sure they was laughing at him. He paid that no attention. One day, Tyler Perry hears about it. Boom. Got a job. Got a new show. These are the kind of things that can happen.
Yes.
But you got to work. You got to do something. This record industry, the reason I tell kids to go get a
It's
job,
rough.
it's not easy.
No.
It's not for the squeamish. There's a lot of ups and there's a lot of downs, but it's just like life.
But they made it harder now to make any money than what it was when you were selling records / CDs. They doing because this streaming crap. You talking about 99 cents
Okay.
per?
All right. So the streaming crap is the streaming crap. They're not selling as many albums and CDs
They're not selling that,
or
no.
whatever. Is the ones that are getting it are getting it. Trust me.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
the craft has not changed.
Okay.
Okay. As far as making it,
The craft has not changed. What has happened is it has transitioned into something else. Those creative forms that we're talking about and how to do it.
Right,
Yes.
right.
Their artists are making more money now in live performance than
In
the
live
records.
performance, yes, that's right.
That's
In
where the
live
money
performance.
is.
That's where the money in live performance.
That's where the
Right.
money
That's
is.
where it
Right.
You know,
So
the money
now-
in no streaming. But if you're a big artist, you could really get paid. You know, because you got you
Talk
have the
about that.
audience and you have that clientele. You know,
They're
for
gonna
lack of
follow.
a better
They're
word.
gonna
Right.
follow.
They're going to jump on the streaming right away.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
But if you just starting, streaming is
Clothing lines, lipstick, draws,
transferable skills, draws.
draws,
But
But
you're
it's
right.
all kinds of
Every-
opportunities.
everything can sell. Eyebrows.
Yes, all kinds of opportunities.
I'm gonna
for-
go get me some hair.
Oh.
And I'm gonna sell hair. But I ain't gonna sell it like they selling it. I'm gonna go get me a big old bushel. As long as them girls wearing that horse hair, I'm gonna get a couple horses.
Okay.
I'm only kidding, y'all.
You're gonna
I don't
Clydesdale.
If you're getting feedback.
Yeah, I know.
Hey,
What is
he
he
talking
talking
about
about?
horse hair. You know. Anyway.
We're just talking about transferable skills.
Yeah,
so.
yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Not to hurt anybody's feelings. But anyway, let's go back to let's go back to the rest of these people because I'm going to move it along because we could be here a long time with this. I didn't
Because
say
I have some question I want to ask you.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, so I'm going to throw the names out there, and Joe Fusco. Well, I talked about Randy and Randy Cannon and Joe Fusco and what's his name?
Hi, Thomas Clark.
Well, anyway, Dexter Wanzel, of course. Dexter and I were writing partners for a while, and also part of Instant Funk
Okay.
for a while.
And they were on the show a couple weeks ago.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you
yeah,
for
yeah,
the
yeah.
invite.
Oh
Yeah.
man, shoot, thank you. Shoot, those are my guys, and I gotta tell you,
They were telling
that
us.
whole Evelyn Champagne King roll, they rolled with me through that whole thing. We rolled together, man. I tell you, and I'm gonna tell you something. And nobody talks about it, but here's the real truth. I'm gonna break it down. We went on tour. We went to California, San Francisco, L.A., Sacramento, Seattle, Washington, and we were on tour with the Whispers and the Chambers Brothers.
Oh.
Time has come today. Okay, them guys. So it was a great tour. Great tour, man. But when Weldon Arthur McDougall
Okay.
worked for Philly International, that's who took us on this tour, and we didn't have a whole bunch of songs.
Okay.
We didn't have a whole bunch of songs.
So you did cover them?
So all of us started writing songs.
Oh, okay.
I had my batch
Okay.
of songs. Instant Funk had their batch of songs, and Dexter Wanzel had his batch of songs. And to cover the nights that we had to play, to cover the time, we just played each other's songs, and they got tighter and tighter and tighter. Everywhere we went, people was like, "What was that?
Yeah.
Whoa! Oh my God!" They was in it, and we knew we had something. So that same stuff that y'all hear on records, we rehearsed that stuff about 4 or 5 months. That stuff was about 4 or 5 months old, and we cut it live.
Oh, wow.
And that's why it's
great.
got the
That's great.
feelings
Right.
that it has. Shame and Got My Mind Made Up
Come on.
and Life on Mars with Dexter. Hey,
Oh, that's
Yeah.
good, though.
that's three.
Let's be right there.
Three right there. Three goes I mean, it was just done just like that. This was no drum machines,
Right.
none of that stuff. All live,
Performance.
all cats playing it. It was beautiful.
That's good.
So that's a secret. That's going to be in my book if I ever write a book. I doubt it because You can burn books.
You can burn books.
Okay,
Well,
I'm just being obnoxious, you know what I mean?
Okay.
Nah, they can burn digital too. But anyway, I'm not gonna write no book. It's too much work. It's like being like doing a TV show.
Well, you're not gonna write. You don't just write.
No. I'm talking
You know.
about. I'm just talking about sitting and talking.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? I just find it very annoying. Like if I were you and I had to sit here and interview you, I'd be like,
Well, why not? Because
But-
interviewing.
Because
It's
he
like-
don't like people.
I don't like people.
No, by
I mean, like,
interviewing people, you
what do you-
learn so much. You learn so much good stuff.
I don't care.
You learn a lot of stuff. You think you know, but you don't.
I'm
You
not
learn a lot of
interested.
good stuff. And then you can take some of that stuff that you're learning and put in what you're doing.
Oh, now you're trying to make me like you, huh?
Oh no!
Is
I'm
that what you're
to
trying
get
to
you-
do? Let's start an argument.
On
Let's
air.
get into this because I have some questions I want to go over.
Okay,
let's
okay. You
get
see
to
what
it.
I'm saying? You can't have no fun with them, man. You can't have no fun with them. You want to ask serious questions. Okay.
Yeah, I want to ask some questions.
Let me
Guy
stop
Toast
acting.
says hi.
Let me stop acting silly.
Come here,
Nah.
guy.
Okay.
All right, so let's go on.
Kind of tenacity.
Now we're going to get into
Okay.
some of
Okay.
our people. What's going on here? Let me in on it. I want to know.
Oh, let me just.
No, I'm only kidding. Okay.
Andre,
Okay, so we want to get down into the Norman Harris
yeah,
and Ronnie Baker and Earl Young.
Earl Young.
To be for real with you, Norman Harris and I were really, really good friends. I'll tell you a funny story. I never did a Tommy Bell session.
Mm-hmm.
When you do a Tommy Bell session, you have to know how to read music.
Okay.
All right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, Tommy wanted me to play guitar on this song, but I never told him I couldn't read. So I already knew that you had to read music to play Tommy's, Tommy's charts. You know, he's a real arranger, you know, and you got to play it like he wants you to play it, and what's written. You know how you guys do.
Yeah.
And so I slid on next to Norm. I said, Norm. Hey man, I can't read this, man. He said, do you know your quarter notes? And after I said, yeah, on the clarinet. but I never did it on the chords. You know, I couldn't read it. You know, the staff's a little bit different. So, you know, he gave me a crash course. So when the music came, right, I learned it from him giving it to me, and just I played it. And then Tommy comes to me and says, "Oh man, listen, I want you to do that thing that you do. That ain't written now. I want you to do
That's
that
just
thing
something
that
you
do.
did, right?
All right, I want you to do it right here." And I said,
What was it?
"Yeah."
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But it was so funny. And Norman was a really, really good guy. He's a good friend of mine. We knew each other for forever before there was a Philly International.
Okay.
So that was a funny story. I've always had great camaraderie with Ronnie Baker and Earl Young, but I really never did anything with either one of them. Yes, I
Ron
did.
Chambers.
Yes, I did. War of the Gods. I played on War of the Gods, and with them, and also Philadelphia Freedom, MFSB. So yeah, I did. So, but my really good friends was Roland Chambers
Carl.
and Carl Chambers. You
Yeah.
know, we were like hippies. You know what I'm saying? So we all spoke the same kind of language, and that's the great thing about Philadelphia at that particular time. There were so many characters, and I don't mean characters like in a negative sense. People who had real personalities, you know, you got along with, especially in the creative community. You know, if you didn't have any charisma or if you want, you know, the thing about being an artist, you have to be bigger than life. Yeah. You have to be bigger than life to be successful. You have to have that other thing that people want to be around. Yeah. You know, and you know, because when you go to see a show, when you see a show, they take you away from your everyday miserable things that the bill collectors, the kids getting on your nerves.
And they put me where I want to be. They put me where I want to be.
Where you want to be.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with you know, musicians. You know, I always gravitated towards cats who had charisma. You know, or could understand where I was coming from, because I thought out of the box a lot. You know. And because I knew the other side too, but I didn't want to stay there, you know, because it wasn't. I couldn't unleash my creativity, in that little box, you know. So, Carl and Roland, and in fact, Roland and I wrote a couple songs on my first album with RCA, on That's Life album, which was he's a prolific cat, man. God rest his soul, both of them. Both of them. And, you know, and also Ronnie Baker, too. Earl Young is, you know, I mean, Earl is
still going.
Earl's still going,
He's still
man.
going, dancing.
He's like that bunny rabbit,
yeah.
you know.
He's dancing all up and down on stage.
He can't dance, though. Earl, if you're listening to this, you can't dance.
He's moving something. He's moving his feet, and he's doing all kinds of stuff. I said, go ahead.
You can't dance. You can't dance. Don't hate me because I'm beautiful. Okay.
Doing a good job, Earl. Thumbs up, right? Okay.
Okay, and I'm going to talk about another guy, Mighty Mick, who played congas on a lot of stuff at Philly International. A good friend of mine, real crazy, beautiful guy. Dennis Harris, who's always been so reserved, just pathetic. He's a real nice guy.
That's good.
That's my analogy of it. Okay, I can say that. And Barbara Yvette, you know, the Sweethearts, they sang Shame.
Yeah, they sang.
They sang the background on Shame. Yeah. You know, so and they always liked me, and I always respected them, and that's you know, it was an honor to get them to do it in the first place. And of course. I'm going to chop this down a little bit because it's kind of long. I want to talk about
Bobby Eli there.
Bobby Eli. And Bobby, I played on a few sessions with Bobby Eli when I was in Philly International.
Is that Shoe Baby?
Yeah, Shoe Baby.
Hey, Shoe.
Shoe is a good friend of mine. I've been knowing him forever. And Alfie Pollard, forget about it. I've been knowing this guy.
Alfie.
Oh, come on, man. You know, a beautiful guy,
yes,
very talented.
Yeah.
And there's another set of guys that I played with when I was doing some fusion jazz, and they were the Earl and Carl Grubbs. Okay. They were disciples of John Coltrane. They were his young boys. And man, we did some fusion jazz that was crazy. In 1969, we played the Electric Factory. And the Electric Factory was ready for it. They gave us a standing ovation. It was unbelievable. Anyway, that's another story. Jamaluddin Tacuma. Jamaluddin played with me a long time ago. I mean, it's just so far. I mean, I remember when, well, that's a long time ago. I mean, he was always such a beautiful person and a great spiritual he had a great spiritual vibe about him, and that's we remain friends to this day. Tiki Fullwood, Thunderfoot. Tiki played with just about every major artist, you know, in the R&B at the, you know, like people like the Four Tops, Temptations. His last thing was with George Clinton, Funkadelic Parliament.
Well, let's read, because, you know, our time is going.
Okay.
So let's read and give a shout out to all the ones that you didn't get to.
Okay, we're going to do, okay, I'm going to just Call their names out.
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to say Aubrey Gravatt, Tiki Fullwood, Steve Green,
Yes.
Shirley Lights,
Yes. Hi, Shirley.
Carl Chambers,
Mm-hmm.
Bill Jolly,
Yay.
Brett Jolly,
Yes.
Vince Montana,
Yes.
Rena Senegan,
Yes.
The Soul Survivors,
Bruce.
Bruce Hawes, Phil Terry, Charlie Boy Simmons, Joe Jefferson, Vic Starfin, Harry Coombs,
Morris Bailey.
Leon Mitchell, Morris Bailey, Victor Bailey, Richard Waller, Kurt Boyer, Bo Winters, Mickey Farrow, Weldon Arthur McDougal, James Sugarman Knight, John Ursery, Kenny Gamble, Leon Huff, Richie Rome, Sensei Rick Wigington, that's my karate guy, I still can't do it, Ursula Herring,
Ursula.
Renee Life, Sam Peaks,
Yes.
Donald Williams, Rick Sullivan, Alan Felder, Ron Tyson from The Temptation. He's one of
Okay.
my corner boys. We grew up on the corner together. Joe Freeman, Ryan Kersey, great guy, God rest his soul. Carla Benson, Yvette Benson, the Sweeties, I said that already. Henry Lightning Neo. That's 100 people. Isn't that amazing?
Well, you know,
I put that when I
what has been your secret for maintaining such good relationship with these artists in the music industry? What's the secret?
I beg.
Because you beg.
Yeah, I beg them.
Beg.
Could you please just do this such a
Because you have 101.
Yeah.
And some of them are here, some are not.
Right.
But you know everybody, you know, and everybody knows you.
Right.
And I told you about the guy who told me he really liked I did about 35 interviews, but out of all 35, it was 2 Facebook fans that he said he loved. And one was the interview with Ted Cohen, who's a guitarist, used to play with Fat Larry's band. And the other one was with you, T.
Wow.
And he said that when he couldn't get a break nowhere, and his name is Darryl Grant.
Darryl Grant.
And he met up with you, and you helped him and gave him his first break. And he told me to tell you today that he said thank you, and he now lives in Las Vegas.
Isn't that special?
Yeah.
Well, thank you, Darryl.
Yes. Yes.
I appreciate that, man. You know, but you know, I appreciate all of the people that I named.
Okay.
I appreciate them extending their God-given talents to me, and I respect them. And I think that that's one of the reasons that I've been able to use so many great people and talented people, because they respect me. And if they don't respect you, they ain't gonna do nothing for you. It's as simple as that.
Right.
You know, so I'm blessed to have had this many people. I mean, I sat down and did it. I was shocked. I was like, wow.
I guess I never really, you know, sat down and did something like that, you know, about the influential people in my life.
Right.
And, you know, because you want to thank them while you're able to thank them.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
Give them roses
That's right.
while
you
they
want
can.
to, you want to do that.
You know, no one does it by themselves. I
No,
don't care
no,
who
they
you
don't.
are.
They don't.
You don't do it by yourself.
No, you don't.
You may think you do. When you sit back in those little quiet moments, you know, you say, well, hey, this person that contributed to that, and look how good. And that's the reason you get them in the first place, because they got something special that you want to use.
Yes, yes.
They bring something to the
The
table.
table, yeah.
And that's very important. And when a person gets chosen like that, from anyone like me, or anyone that, you know, think that they have something, that's a blessing. You know, cats call me for sessions, you know, I'll think about what the motivation is. That's what I do. I think about the motivation.
From your point or their point?
From this point.
Nice.
Well,
Well, that's his point.
But no, I don't want to get. But that's a good point to have.
Yes.
Because if you want me, you know you're going to get the best. You're going to get no nonsense. I'm going to give you exactly what you want. If you don't get what you want, then I'll get you somebody else that'll get you what you want. You dig what I'm saying? So
that's cool.
that's important.
And
you know.
many of those artists that you mentioned I know some of them was, in my lifetime. And I know that when I had this vocal group. I don't even know the name of it this time. It's so long ago. Oh, no, it was last week. But anyway, it was at Loretta's Hi-Hat.
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
Roland and Carl and Kenny Gamble was there.
Right.
And I knew from that point, I said, this is what I want to do.
Okay.
This is what. So they were influential to me also.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure all the artists that's listening to this video and all of the artists that will be listening to this video, I can recommend now that you sit down and you put a list together of all the influential people that were in your life. I know many times we'll sit down and we'll write the people that, hey, this person did this to me, and I'll cross them out and this, that. But now we're going to talk
not for me. Not to me. For me.
So now we're going to turn
This person
turn
did
it
this
around,
to me.
right?
Okay.
Yeah, turn it around and just look at the list. I thought that was very good. And it's time now that we got to say goodbye again. Gilbert is giving me my 5 minutes, and that
You
means
kicking
it's
me out?
time.
Not
it's time
you.
to go.
Oh, you
But
kidding.
I want to thank you so much for coming on again, and I know that when all of those artists listen to this video, they're going to say, "Man, he really honored me by saying my name and all the good things." Many of them may say, "I didn't know I did that for him." Yeah.
Well, I wanted to do that. I wanted to do it before because I think that Philly doesn't give the kind of accolades to the artists that are here.
Yes, we got great people.
Oh my God, yeah, man,
Great
there's some
people.
awesome people, man, and I can't say enough about the Clef Club. I want to
Clef
say something about
Club,
the Clef Club. The Clef Club has been really good to me, and I love Don. Don was my old head. He was my old head. You know what I'm saying? And I couldn't get anything over on him, and I didn't try. No.
Tried.
Oh no. I didn't even try because he's too slick for that.
Okay.
See, you can't approach a guy like that
Wow, that's good.
with some old. You got to come straight up and down. If you come straight up and down with people, sometimes you'll get a lot farther than trying to be slick and go around the table and over the top and underneath. Yeah, be like you can't see me, I'm Ninja Roach. Come on, man, I see you, and that's what they do. That's why I never had no problems with him. Never had any problems with him. So, with that being said, I do appreciate you having me on the show and allowing me.
Wait.
What?
We need to know where you're going to be in the near future. What's coming up next for you?
Well,
He probably won't tell you.
I
He's
have
going
a
to write a
dream.
book. We know
I
that.
know, he's going to write a book.
I had a dream the
I
other
have a
night.
dream.
Now I'm on this mission. Now y'all may think I'm a little strange, but I had this dream about life expectancy
Ooh.
in today's world of mankind. The life expectancy is approximately 80 years old. You might, get bumped up to 100, something like that.
I would even say he's talking female.
No,
All right.
males too.
But I thought about Methuselah.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Methuselah lived to be 900 years old.
Okay.
Where did God cut down the life expectancy? You understand?
Yeah.
But was it like he was
But
trying
you
to
don't know if
save?
those 900. You don't know how those years work.
They're the same years.
You don't know if there were 365 days. You
Wait
don't
a
know
minute.
that.
900 years is 900 years.
Well, it
I
depends
don't
on,
care how you cut
I have
it.
to disagree. It depends on how the 900 years.
We got to close this show with something
Okay,
that
okay,
means
okay.
something.
And
All
on the
right.
7th day
Okay.
he rested, but we still don't know how long God's days are.
That's right. All right, now wait a minute,
Yes,
wait a minute.
Yes.
But he still cut our short. You back.
He said, I want my days
How
back.
you give him 900 years, you give us 80.
You gotta
We
make
2/3.
The best
Yeah,
out
2/3,
whatever
man.
it
Even
is.
that.
You make
Now,
the
so
best out
if
of
you
it.
get some calls from the church, who is that on that show?
That's all right. We'll bring him in.
Yeah.
Come on in. I want to know.
But we got to get out of here now.
I'm out.
And thank you, Gilbert. I want to thank you so very much for
Okay.
sponsoring us today. Philly Live Radio, you do a good job.
Thank you.
Okay? And we'll see you all next week. But please go into my show and my YouTube channel and subscribe, where you can look and listen to all the videos from the Indie Show. And we thank you.
Thank
Have
you.
a good day. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you. Okay.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
Beautiful.